Hello, welcome back to my channel. We are in my bathroom. I don't normally have the overhead light on this one. I normally just use this when I'm getting ready, but I thought I would film it. So I turned on the extra lighting so you guys could see me better, but normally it's kind of harsh and abrasive, but the lighting is going to be a little off. My bathroom is too small to bring in extra lights. I probably should start pulling my ring light out, but we'll move past that today. But I thought I would show you what I use day to day. Minimal makeup. My daughter had a doctor's appointment this morning. We have a couple more appointments this afternoon. The one this morning was at like 7:15, so it was super early, so I just went like this, but figured I would do a little bit for the second half and bring you along. If you're new, welcome. I appreciate you. If you're not new, I always appreciate you guys coming back. Make sure you're subscribed, and yeah, let's just jump in. I tried to prop you up. You are on my tripod, but I did try and prop you up. So this basket sits on top of the caboodle over here on the back of the toilet. So generally when I'm getting ready, the caboodle will move here. The basket is a new addition because I brought up some extra pallets and things. I generally just set it right there. I'll move the wipes there, musical chairs, and then try and just prop this open. Now I am able to store my brushes in this top part right here, so it makes it nice. Everything is contained in here and it's relatively easy to access. My friend Christine gave me this. It's the mini crush palette. I've worn it actually twice already. I really like this, especially going into like Valentine's Day. It's been really nice. So I've been using that. Let's see. I do have all my skincare on. I like to, even though I'm not going to do foundation most days, I don't. I do want to try. I usually go in with some sort of a primer. So I'm going to try this one that I got in, was it the Ipsy BoxyCharm box? It says it's supposed to be glowy. My skin's a little bit irritated. We've been cleaning and trying to purge stuff, so I think it's from the dust. I've got some texture. It's just, I think, left over from like a rash. It tends to happen when I'm around a lot of dust, but decided to try this the first time using it. And then I just wipe my hands off. Okay, so generally I like to go in with my concealer. The one I've been wearing, I pretty much wore this strictly in December, is the Bare With Me Concealer Serum. I like this better than the Flower Beauty one. That one used to crease really bad on me. I just pump out like half a pump and then I just go in and just dot it kind of around my eyes. And this will be pretty much my base product. I'll do a little bit usually on my forehead, a little bit kind of on the nose, chin, and then I just try and wipe the excess off on my forehead, just so I'm not wasting the product. But that one used to crease on me. This one does not as bad, so I really like this. It's been good. I'm going to pull out my contour stick too, so I don't have to break as bad for it. Okay. Then I've been using the brush I got from Angelica Nyquist brand, the Singe Beauty. I like this one. I would like to get some more of her brushes, but hers are not like the most expensive, but she's like mid-range, so just one of those things just haven't had the extra money for. So this is the only one I have, but I do like it for concealer. And I just kind of pat it around, spread it. Let's see if you can even see what I'm doing. Okay. Again, most days I don't do foundation. I just do this, kind of spot around. I have pretty decent complexion, so I don't have a lot of like uneven skin tone or anything. I get a little bit of redness kind of around my nose, a little bit of dark circles under my eyes, and then I usually will like to do a little bit on my chin. My chin is not necessary though. And then I like to go back in with my foundation brush and just kind of tap it, make sure it's blended. And then I will go, I like to give it some time to settle. That was a pro tip too that I discovered, I think on TikTok maybe a year ago. The lady, she's a makeup artist, but she's over like 45. I think she's approaching 50. And that was a recommendation, to kind of let the concealer hang out, dry down, go back in, tap out the creases, and then set it. If you set it too early, especially if you're getting fine lines or approaching wrinkles, it can cause it to crease more than it would. So I will say there's some truth to that, because my concealer, since I've started doing that, does not look nearly as bad at the end of the day. I still get a little bit of creasing, but not nearly like I was. And then this stuff does not crease a whole bunch. This is looking a little cakey right in here. My skin has been really dry. Probably didn't need to put any on my forehead, but that's all right. Yeah, I did moisturize, but my skin is real dry. So that's probably gonna look not great, but that's all right. Some of it could be the primer too. Like I said, I have not used that primer yet. This is the first time, so things could be sitting funny too. Hard to say. I'm in Arizona, if you're new or you don't remember. So it's very dry here in the winter. And I'm just doing my eyebrows. So I'm gonna fill in my eyebrows and we'll come back. Okay, so I did my brows, however long that takes, generally like a minute or two, and then I'll go back in and kind of repat this out. Just make sure, yeah, it looks, everything's kind of sitting funny. Like I said, it could be the primer, it could just be my skin being overly dry, because I have not been good about putting moisturizer on this week. So it could be a combination. It's hard to say. I will continue to try that. And then even like with foundations, I have foundations that I generally like, and then I've had times where it just climate, or like when I was at my grandmother's, there was a couple that I normally really like and they just look terrible. I think because of all the dust and stuff in the house. My skin was not liking certain things. So yeah, there's a lot of underlying factors. So I like to just set where I put the concealer, and then I'll set the rest after I do the other cream stuff. So for bronzer contour today, I'm going to use the ABH. This is in Mink. Technically, this is a foundation stick, but this is a really good like cool tone contour shade. And like today where I don't have like foundation on this, because it's technically foundation, does have a little bit of coverage. I feel like the cream bronzers give you a little bit of coverage anyway. So it doesn't necessarily have to be a foundation, but I do. The other one I have in here is the Too Faced one, but I do feel like I said, even the regular bronzer sticks like the Too Faced one give you a little bit of coverage, being a cream product. The Too Faced one isn't overly thick, but it's not super sheer either, so I think that's probably why it leans a little bit, which is nice when you're not wearing a lot. Because day to day, this is generally what I do, and then I will go in. I have a brush specifically for nose contour. I just need a little bit of something on my face. I have a phone appointment. My daughter's got another appointment, and I have a doctor's appointment after, so it's nice to look a little bit put together. And then again, I will go back in with my foundation brush because I feel like sometimes there's a little bit of a line. I don't necessarily worry about it up here. I'll go through and tap a little bit, but I always feel like I see a little bit of a line right there just on the bottom. It's maybe not blended as well. I don't know. I like to run the foundation brush just around the edges and go inward. I don't know if it does anything, but makes me feel better, so I do it. And then just kind of blend around the nose. And then I will go back in and reset the rest of my face. I don't think I'm going to do cream blush. Sometimes if I do cream blush, I do that right after and then set, but I don't think I'm going to use any cream blush today. I don't think it's necessary. This is just my Hourglass palette, so I'm going into the light shade. This is just a powder brush. I'll go kind of where I put the concealer with the light shade. I don't love this for setting directly. I do like it. For this, I've tried to use it like strictly as a setting powder in place of my pressed powder, and it just stuff creases and doesn't look real nice. So I generally will go in with my pressed or loose powder first and then put this over top. I've just found for my personal skin, everything just tends to look a little bit better doing this. So that's what we're gonna do. Okay, I'm gonna go, let's see, let me move this tray. I do have a bronzer in the Hourglass palette. I was debating if I was gonna use my Too Faced one, but I think I'll just use the bronzer. Again, I don't need a lot, just looking for a little more put together than I was. And because I have that base underneath, I feel like this is a little bit more of a lighter bronzer for me. I can build this up and it shows up just fine on its own, but definitely helps having that base underneath. Okay, and I'm gonna try, I have not used this blush. This is from El Maquillage. This is in Vogue. It's a mineral baked blush. Again, haven't used this. We're gonna give it a go here today. Ooh, maybe don't tap in that much. That might be enough for both sides. Tapped in too much. A little bit goes a long way. Wipe off. I have towels hanging up behind me. I just wiped off some of the excess. Yeah, that two aggressive taps was too much, like one light tap. Some of these baked products are really like hard pressed, like the Laura Geller ones I feel like are a little bit more like you're not going to get a ton right off of it unless you really like dig in there. So that is definitely a softer baked. And then I like the, I forget what they call that, where you like overdo the blush up your forehead. I forget what that technique is called. And again, I'll go usually with either a foundation brush or powder brush to kind of diffuse the edges. Blush draping was the technique. But yeah, I just take the powder brush around just a little bit. So I think that's good. It's definitely pigmented. I have to remember to go in with a softer hand. For highlighter, what is this? This is that is a blush. I was gonna say I'll use that one, but that is not a highlighter for Moon Slice Beauty. I have my Laura Geller one, or not, yeah, my Lorella one, not Laura Geller, but I think I'm just gonna use the one again out of the Hourglass palette. This one's a little bit metallic, but not quite as intense as the Lorella one. I don't need a ton of highlighter. So this one's a little bit more natural compared to that one. And then I have some others that are a little more reddy toned or pink toned, but I don't necessarily need that either. So, okay. So that's pretty much it for the face. And then I just go in with a little bit of like the Makeup Forever spray. I will say what may be looking different is normally I've been going in with the Dominique Cosmetics primer, and it's a smoothing like serum primer, and I really do think that that helps. Didn't use that today, just used the glowing one, so I definitely think that that primer is good. Does make a difference on my skin, especially this time of year with it being dry. And then I think I am just going to use the Wander Beauty palette that I got in the Ipsy. And then I do have eyeshadow primer in my box, but generally if I'm just doing something basic, I'll take the concealer brush and just kind of go over with whatever's left over to give me a little bit of a base without going too much. And then let me just wipe off that. This is a pretty like cool tone, so I'm just going to go into a random shade just to do a little bit in the crease. It's a little bit taupey, so it's looking a little bit like mauve-y almost on the lid. Not. I'll try and point you up so you can kind of see what I'm doing here. But I'm just putting mid-tone color in the crease. Don't really have a good brow bone highlight, so I will probably go back in to the face highlight just to go under the brow bone. The shimmers that are in here are pretty metallic, so I don't know that I necessarily want that under the brow. And then I'm going to try and go into this slip shade that's a little bit lighter. Again, I'm not trying to do anything crazy. I'm going to put a little bit of this darker brown on the bottom, just in the outer corner. On both sides. Again, this is super quick. Usually I'm trying to do this with little kids running around, so I've cut down on the amount of steps and the amount of time that it has taken me. I'm going to go in with this Dawn shade that I swatched in the Ipsy. And again, I do have a glitter primer, tacky primer in my caboodle. But for this kind of basic look, I don't necessarily feel like it's necessary to use it. And then I'll just kind of work out the outer edge just a little bit, maybe add a little bit more. Try and make it look a little bit blended there. Just super basic. And then this Blossom shade is very light pink looking. That may work under the brow if I just do a little bit. Again, I don't want it to be like super metallic-y under there, but little something. Okay. And then for the lower lash line, I do have a shadow stick in here. I think I left it in here. Yes, I did. I have a Laura Geller and a Context. I think I'll use the Context one because this one's a little bit taupey, but it's just a shadow stick. It looks pretty light in the pan, but this one, or in the pan, in the tube, but this one's actually got a little bit more depth to it than it looks. So I usually will just run this. The Laura Geller one is just a brown. It's just the same thing. I think it's a little bit shimmery, but not bad. And then it's just a dark brown. So I'll just run that on the bottom, and then I'll go in with some sort of a brush and kind of blend that out a little bit. We'll use not really a dark shimmer. Generally, I like to use a darker shimmer, but I'm going to use the Petal shade out of here that I used in the crease to start. And I like to go in with a little bit of a matte powder at the end just to kind of blend it out. I feel like it makes it look better, and just making sure the crease doesn't look terrible. I don't think I'm going to do any eyeliner. I'm just going to try and curl a little bit. And then just do a little bit of mascara. Like I said, I wasn't looking to do a whole lot. Just want to be a little bit more put together. So day to day, this is kind of what it looks like for me. And then this is the Shiseido curler. They're a little bit expensive for what it is. It's like 26 bucks now. You can get replacement, the rubber part from them, which I have replaced this recently. When they have them in stock, that's a little bit cheaper because I already have the curler. But it has been the best. Like, I have really stubborn lashes and they don't want to curl or hold a curl. And that actually, you can see like they're curling a little bit. And then I've been using the Huda Beauty One Coat Wow. I will say this is kind of a pain to get off. And I go in with eye makeup remover and I still will end up with black. Like if I take a shower right after, I will still end up with black under my eyes. Even with trying to remove it. So it's definitely a mascara that likes to hang around, but it does, I think it does look nice with one coat, and it does hold a little bit of curl, at least for me, because my lashes do not stay curled. So that is it. That's the finished face. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me. Hopefully it wasn't too boring. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and hopefully I'll see you in another video. Bye, everybody.